Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Channel with Tom and Kate. We're really happy to have you with us today.
Yes, it's nice to be back again. Honestly, I was already thinking about food before we even started recording this episode. I was trying to decide what to eat later, and I realized how often we talk about food during the day without even noticing it.
That's true. Food is probably one of the most common conversation topics in everyday life. People talk about breakfast in the morning, lunch during work, dinner in the evening, and snacks in between. Even simple questions like, "What did you eat today?" or "Are you hungry?" can start a full conversation very naturally.
And what I like about food conversations is that everybody can join. You don't need advanced English or special vocabulary. People usually just describe what they like, what they cooked, or what they ate recently.
Exactly. And before we continue, if you enjoy these calm and practical English conversations, you can subscribe to the channel or share this episode with someone who is learning English.
It really helps us, and we really appreciate it.
So today we're going to talk about food and the way people naturally discuss it in English conversations. In my case, I'm quite structured when it comes to eating habits. During the week, I usually eat at the same time every day, and I try to keep things simple and organized. So if someone asks me what I normally eat, I might say something like, "I usually prepare simple meals," or "I try to eat healthy during the week." I don't really enjoy spending too much time deciding what to eat. I prefer having a routine.
I'm completely different. My meals depend a lot on my mood and energy. Some days I cook properly, and other days I just eat something quick because I don't feel like spending too much time in the kitchen. So if someone asks me about my eating habits, I'd probably answer with something like, "It depends on the day," or "I just eat whatever I feel like." I think many people are like that, especially during busy weeks when you come home tired and don't want to think too much.
Another thing people talk about constantly is what they ate recently. This happens all the time in casual conversations. You hear things like, "I had pasta last night," or "I ordered food yesterday," or "I made something quick after work." These sentences are very simple, but they immediately create interaction because everyone can relate to them.
Yes, and people often describe how the meal felt, not only what they ate. Someone might say, "It was really good," or "It was too heavy," or "I just wanted something comforting." I think food is strongly connected to emotion. When people feel stressed, tired, relaxed, or happy, it changes what they want to eat.
That's true. And another question that comes up very often is, "What's your favorite food?" It's such a simple question, but people ask it all the time because it feels personal without being too serious.
I honestly never know how to answer that question properly because my answer changes all the time. Sometimes I want pizza, sometimes sushi, and sometimes I just want something simple at home. I usually say something like, "I like almost everything," because that sounds more natural to me than choosing one specific dish.
So let me ask you something. What do you actually enjoy eating the most during a normal week? Not restaurant food or special occasions, just your normal everyday meals.
Honestly, my meals change all the time depending on my mood. Some days I really want something comforting like pasta or pizza, and other days I just want something very quick because I don't feel like cooking. During busy weeks, I often eat simple things without planning too much. I might make a sandwich, order takeaway food, or just cook something easy with whatever I already have at home. And I think expressions like, "I don't feel like cooking," or I just grabbed something quickly are very common in English. People use them naturally when they talk about food during stressful or busy days.
I'm almost the opposite. My meals are usually very predictable during the week. I like having a routine because it saves time and makes decisions easier. Most of the time, I eat things like chicken, rice, eggs, vegetables, or pasta. I prefer meals that are simple to prepare and not too heavy. And actually, heavy meal and light meal are expressions people use constantly in English conversations. Someone might say, "I want something light tonight," especially after eating a big lunch earlier in the day.
Yes, people describe food with simple words all the time. They say food is heavy, light, greasy, fresh, spicy, or sweet. And honestly, I think comforting is also a very useful word. People often say they want comfort food when they feel tired or stressed. That usually means food that feels warm, relaxing, and familiar.
That's true. Another expression people use a lot is, "I'm craving." Someone might say, "I'm craving chocolate," or "I'm craving pizza tonight." It means you suddenly really want a specific type of food. I don't use that expression very often because my eating habits are quite stable. But when I do crave something, it's usually burgers or sushi.
I use that word constantly, especially in the evening after work. Sometimes I suddenly think, I'm craving something sweet, even if I wasn't hungry before. And speaking of that, people also talk a lot about eating out versus cooking at home. I definitely eat out more than you do. Especially on weekends, I enjoy going to restaurants or ordering food with friends instead of cooking.
Do you actually enjoy cooking, or is it more something you do because you have to?
Honestly, it really depends on my mood and energy. Sometimes I enjoy it, especially when I'm relaxed and I have time. But during the week after work, I often see cooking as something practical more than enjoyable. If I'm tired, I usually want something fast and easy. That's why I use expressions like, "I can't be bothered cooking tonight," quite a lot. It's a very natural expression in spoken English when you don't have motivation to do something. And I think many people feel like that after a long day. They open the fridge, look inside for 30 seconds, and then suddenly ordering food feels like the easiest solution.
I understand that completely, but I still prefer cooking at home most of the time. I like knowing exactly what I'm eating, and I also enjoy having a routine with meals. For me, cooking is usually very simple. I don't spend 2 hours making complicated recipes. I prepare things that are easy, healthy, and efficient. So if someone asked me whether I enjoy cooking, I would probably answer, "I like cooking simple meals, but nothing too complicated." And actually, "nothing too" is another useful structure in conversation. People say things like, "nothing too heavy," "nothing too expensive," or "nothing too spicy."
That's true. And speaking of spicy food, I wanted to ask you something. Can you actually handle spicy food properly?
A little bit, yes, but not extremely spicy food. I like some spice because it gives more flavor, but if the food becomes too spicy, I stop enjoying the meal itself. So I would probably say something like, "I like spicy food, but only to a certain point." That sounds very natural in English conversations.
I'm exactly the same. Some people love extremely spicy food and seem completely comfortable eating it, but I honestly don't understand how they do it. And people talk about this a lot when they eat together. Someone always says, "This is too spicy for me," or, "Wow, that's really hot." These expressions come up constantly in restaurants or dinners with friends.
Another thing people discuss a lot is healthy food versus unhealthy food. In my case, I try to eat healthy most of the time during the week because I feel better physically when my meals are balanced. So I might say something like, I try to avoid junk food during the week, or I try to eat clean most of the time. Those expressions are very common now, especially junk food and eat clean.
I try to eat healthy too, but I'm definitely less strict than you are. I think balance is more important for me. If I want pizza or dessert sometimes, I'll just eat it without thinking too much. And honestly, people often talk like that in real life. They say things like, I'm trying to be healthier, or I need to stop eating so much sugar. But they usually say it in a relaxed way, not like a serious plan.
Yes, and food conversations often become very personal quite quickly. People talk about habits, energy, mood, or even childhood memories connected to food. For example, certain meals remind people of family dinners or specific moments in their life. Someone might say, "This dish reminds me of my childhood," or "My grandmother used to make this."
That's true. Food creates emotional memories very easily. Even smells can remind you of something immediately. For me, certain foods instantly remind me of weekends or holidays. And I think that's why food conversations are so easy and natural. People are not only talking about meals, they're also talking about experiences and feelings.
Another question people ask all the time is whether someone prefers sweet food or savory food. Personally, I prefer savory food. I like proper meals much more than desserts or sugary snacks.
I definitely prefer sweet food. If there's chocolate, cake, or ice cream somewhere in the house, I immediately know about it. And expressions like, I have a sweet tooth, are very useful in English. If someone says, I have a sweet tooth, it means they love sweet food and desserts.
That's actually a very common expression. And honestly, these small expressions are what make food conversations sound natural and authentic in English. Something else people talk about a lot is eating with other people. Food is very social. Even when people are not especially interested in cooking, they still enjoy sharing meals with friends, family, or colleagues. In my case, I usually prefer calm meals in smaller groups. I like when the atmosphere is relaxed and people can actually have a conversation. So if someone asks me what kind of restaurants I like, I would probably say, I prefer quiet places where you can talk comfortably. And actually, the atmosphere is a useful expression when talking about restaurants. People often say, the food was good, but the atmosphere was too noisy, or I really liked the atmosphere there.
I pay attention to atmosphere too, but maybe less than you. For me, the most important thing is usually the moment itself. If I'm with people I like, I can enjoy almost any place. I think people often say things like, the company was good, meaning the people made the experience enjoyable. Even if the restaurant is not perfect, the meal can still be great because of the conversation and the people around you. And honestly, some of the best meals are not even expensive restaurants. Sometimes it's just takeaway food with friends at home while everyone talks and relaxes.
That's true. And another thing people discuss all the time is whether they prefer eating at home or going to restaurants. Personally, I enjoy restaurants occasionally, but I still prefer eating at home most of the time. At home, everything feels calmer and more predictable. I also think people eat differently at home. Meals are usually simpler and more practical. So if someone asked me about it, I would probably say, I enjoy eating out sometimes, but I prefer home-cooked meals overall.
I probably enjoy restaurants more than you do, especially because I like trying different foods. When I go somewhere new, I often want to test local dishes or something I've never eaten before. And I think expressions like, try something new, or step outside your comfort zone come up naturally in food conversations. Someone might say, I tried something new yesterday, or I normally wouldn't eat that, but it was actually really good.
I'm less adventurous with food than you are. Once I find meals I like, I usually stay with them. I don't often experiment, but I still think food conversations are interesting because they reveal personality very quickly. Some people are very curious and open with food, and others prefer routine and familiarity.
Yes, food habits say a lot about people. Even simple questions like, do you cook often? Or what do you usually eat for breakfast? Can tell you quite a lot about someone's lifestyle. And breakfast is actually a funny topic because people have completely different habits. Some people eat a huge breakfast, and others just drink coffee and leave the house.
I'm definitely someone who likes a proper breakfast. I prefer starting the day with something solid and predictable, so I might say something like, I usually have eggs, coffee, and something simple on the side. And on the side is another useful expression. People say things like, I had rice with vegetables on the side, or the burger came with fries on the side.
I honestly struggle with breakfast sometimes. During busy mornings, I'm often not hungry immediately after waking up, so I usually say something like, I'll just grab a coffee for now, or I'm not hungry yet. Those are extremely common expressions in everyday English.
And when you look at all these situations together, you realize that food conversations are everywhere in daily life. People talk about what they ate, what they want to eat, restaurants they like, meals they remember, or habits they are trying to change. And most of the time, the language stays very simple and natural.
Yes, and that's probably why food is such a good topic for learning English. Everybody already has experiences, opinions, preferences, and habits connected to food. You're not trying to invent ideas. You're simply learning how to express things that are already part of your daily life.
Before we finish, thank you very much for spending this time with us today.
We hope this conversation helps you feel more comfortable talking about food in English in real-life situations.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the channel or share it with someone who is learning English.
It really helps us grow, and we truly appreciate your support.
Join us in the next episode for another calm and practical English conversation.
Thanks again for listening.
And remember, keep speaking English every day.